People who couldn't find anything better to do, but here you are. So it's not like a combat or anything, you know, like voice actors fighting stage actors to the death or anything quite as torrid as that. It's just the idea. I've done a ton, hundreds and hundreds of panels about voice acting. So it occurred to me that
let me get out of this room for a second.
A lot of people who come to voice acting panels are interested in acting. And I thought a way to make this a more relatable topic to people would be to put it in a context of something that they are familiar with. So the way that I always start this off, besides erasing non-erasable ink because it's kind of stuck on here pretty good. Anyway, I ask this question. Are you ready for it? Yes, you're ready. Okay. How many people have ever worked on a play in any capacity whatsoever? That nearly everyone in this room. Okay, that's good. So that's kind of my starting point, is the idea of that. Like demystifying it, you know? And Robert has just stepped out for a moment to cover his nose, as it were. And he's been in the business for a long time. My background is I started as a stage actor. Well, this microphone's pretty hot. Started as a stage actor, and my very first play that I was in, I was 7 years old. It was The Shoemaker and the Elves. I was an elf. And I was hooked from then on, you know. I really just always wanted to be an actor, or felt that I was an actor, not like I'm going to become an actor, more like I am one. I like to say that it's a congenital condition. I was just born this way, and try as my parents did to cure me of it, they were unable to. So sad for them. Anyway, so I'm just stuck this way, basically. So that's how I got started, is doing theater, you know, in school, high school, college, community theater. And I got a call one day from a friend of mine. Hello, Brittany. I got a call one day from a friend of mine. There was this new company in Houston, where I live, and they were looking for some actors. Apparently, there was a small company that was releasing some Japanese animated shows, and they were going to try their hand at dubbing one into English. And if you are over 18, you can see that show tonight. It's called Guy Double Target. I'm not sure that it's ever been screened at an anime convention before, but that was the first show that I ever worked on, Guy Double Target. It's a 2-episode OVA series. And anyway, they were going to dub this show. It was their first show that they were going to dub. The company was ADV Films, and they needed to find some actors. They had never hired actors before, so the whole company was about 6 guys. And they said to all of their friends, hey, if you know any actors, tell them to come to our audition. So someone who knew that I was an actor, knew that I worked on stage anyway, said, hey, these people are looking for some actors, and I thought you might be interested in that. And I thought, well, golly gee, I am interested in that. And so I went down, auditioned, got hired right on the spot, and 17 and a half years later, I'm somehow still in this industry. But in that time, I didn't just like stop doing stage work, and I don't, you know, do any other kind of acting, because quite frankly, really nobody would be able to successfully do that. I mean, very few people only do voiceover. Very, 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 very few people. I mean, most of us are doing all kinds of different things. So. Yeah, so I've worked in some film work, some independent film. I haven't done, Robert's done a great deal of on-camera work, so he can talk a lot more about that. But I continue doing stage work off and on up until about a year ago, and I've also done voiceover and on-camera for commercials and industrials and things like that. So I've worked in a lot of different media, but it's all kind of acting. It's all communicating. You're telling a story to the audience, whoever the audience may be. So it's really not so mysterious, is what I want you to know. at the heart of it, there's still a lot of the same, I hate to use this, but tools. your acting toolbox is still a lot of the same training that goes into it. Now, depending upon the different medium that you're working in, the techniques are very, very different, of course, and the environment that you're working in is very different, obviously. The great thing about any kind of voiceover work, whether it's anime or a radio commercial or anything like that, is that your appearance doesn't matter. So for the purposes of voiceover, I can be an 8-year-old boy, I can be an alien, I can be a tree, I could be, whatever you want me to be. I can be a teenage girl, like, stuff that I would not ever really get to play on stage probably, or in a movie. And that, of course, is very, very cool. I do think, though, that stage is very, very close to voice acting, particularly anime voice acting, because stage has an element of like a heightened level of reality. So even if you go and see a play that is a very serious, dramatic play, it doesn't have the same quality as a film. When you watch a film, you're all right here up in someone's face. It's very tight. The whole movie is going on right here, just in the actor's eyes, basically. And so it's very, very intimate, and that is a much more real feeling to the audience anyway, because of the intimacy that you have with the actors. But when you're seeing a stage play, it's a little bit over the top. It's a little bit of a heightened sense of reality. In other words, if I'm having a conversation with someone who's over here, I can't turn like this and have a conversation with that person. We're having a conversation like this. We're cheating out so the audience can see our faces. We're projecting to the people in the back row. So there's a little bit of that element that it's a little bit larger than life when you're doing live theater. And I think a lot of that really translates to anime. So we're just starting off. Almost every person in here has worked on a play in some respects. So I always start off with that because I try to relate it to, how all forms of acting are sort of connected. You said something really great when we did this panel one time. It was about communicating to the audience.
Yeah.
So just say the exact thing that you said before. It was very inspirational. I don't remember. I don't know.
Well, when you're on stage, you want to put, there's something called, I learned in acting class, anchor points. Anchor points are, here you are on the stage, and here's the audience. And you want to project yourself out to the whole audience. So rather than be running around the stage going here and there and hither and thither, you put out these magical anchor points to the rafters of stage left and stage right. And you just make yourself big. It's rather magical, but it's very, you get on stage, you establish your anchor points, usually, a few minutes before curtain time. And then it's a matter of communicating on stage with a fellow actor. Your communication goes to the audience, it bounces off your fellow actor. So you can communicate with your fellow actor. So you've got to do with one eye on him or her, and the other eye not looking out at the audience, but pointing towards the audience. So you're not giving them a profile.
Right.
It's a spatial thing.
I feel like a lot of the, I feel like a lot of my stage training really comes in handy doing particularly anime work, because it is, a lot of it is that really kind of a little bit over the top, a little bit heightened sense of reality. Even if you're doing a really serious show, it doesn't have to be a wacky kind of an anime. It doesn't have to be layers. It can, even in a serious show, because the thing is with anime, they only can hear your voice. So, I mean, I'm very animated. I think most people are when they're doing voiceover work. So I may be doing all of this gesturing and stuff with my hands and physicality through my body as long as my mic placement is correct. I mean, you can't be going on the mic, but I really feel it. I know my face is very animated, and of course that's a big thing that you can't do in film, and that's what's so hard for me in film, is that your face has to be so still. You really can't move your face when you're on camera, because when you start, your eyebrows are going up and down and your mouth's moving around a lot and blinking too much, and it looks ridiculous. And on stage, you never have to worry about that. On stage, no one would ever say, oh, you moved your eyebrows too much and you blinked, but I know a film I was working on a few months ago, the director said, that take was great, but do it just like that, but don't blink. And it's really hard. You're thinking about, you've got to hit this mark, because I was rolling across in a chair and I had to stop at an exact point and deliver the line in an exact direction to where the person I was speaking to, who wasn't really there, but that's where they were supposed to be. So I'm sliding, I'm looking at this point, I have to deliver the line exactly this way, and I have to not blink. It's just so many things to think about all at one time. And I find voice acting freeing, because I don't have to think about all that. I just have to think about where the mic is.
Well, Michael Caine says that about acting. As long as you don't blink, you're good.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it can be true. Because they say the eyes are the window to the soul on film. So it's a little trick that actors pick up.
Yeah, and I mean, for someone who does a lot of on camera, like Michael Caine, I'm sure you train yourself not to move your head and not to move your eyebrows and not to blink. That it's crazy hard for me to think about all of those things. Which is why I enjoy voice acting so darn much. Hi John, do you guys have questions for us? Questions, queries, comments? No? No questions, no comments? I would like to know how your background, where you got started. Were you doing theater in like high school and college and so on?
Yeah, I was doing theater in junior high and high school. I started out doing junior high school plays and what we did, West Side Story, and then outside of school, we had a group called Young Arts that we could play over summer. Then we get you done one summer, and then we did easy stuff, fun. Then we did the Moliere play called Moliere Imaginale.
Oh, okay.
It's a musical version of the Woodley Invalid.
Oh.
By Moliere, was a Woodley
Oh, okay.
Malagay is a French play.
And then you studied acting in college, I guess,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes. I studied in college, and then I left college studying work at a professional troupe in Manhattan.
Okay. So you started out working in New York, and then later you moved to LA.
Yes.